The morning sun had barely risen over the glittering skyline when a tired single father quietly stepped through the revolving doors of one of the most powerful companies in the city. His shoes were worn, his work shirt had been carefully washed so many times that its color had faded, and his hands carried the marks of years spent doing honest labor. The security guard barely looked at him as he walked toward the reception desk holding a simple application for a janitor's position. To everyone around him, he looked like another struggling man searching for work. But upstairs, inside the luxurious executive office, a billionaire CEO would soon glance at one ordinary name written on an application. And in that single moment, the color would drain from her face, as memories she had buried for 15 years suddenly came rushing back. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness always comes back, that second chances can change lives, and that every act of compassion matters, please take a moment to like this video. Leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy so you never miss another heartwarming story. The man's name was Everett Hale. At 38 years old, life had taken almost everything from him except the one treasure he refused to lose, his 8-year-old daughter, Nora. Ever since his wife had passed away after a long illness, every sunrise had begun with sacrifice. Everett woke before dawn to prepare breakfast, pack school lunches, braid Nora's hair after teaching himself through online videos, and walk her to school before searching for temporary jobs across the city. Construction work had slowed, warehouses had reduced staff, and every application he submitted seemed to disappear into silence. Savings vanished. Bills grew higher. Yet every evening, no matter how exhausted he felt, he smiled when Nora ran into his arms because she believed her father could fix anything. The truth was far different. Everett often skipped meals, so Nora would never notice there wasn't enough food. He secretly sold the last pieces of furniture that reminded him of happier days just to keep the electricity running. Their apartment grew emptier every month, but he kept telling bedtime stories filled with hope because he never wanted fear to become part of his daughter's childhood. The world saw a poor man struggling to survive. Nora saw a superhero. One afternoon, while reading the local newspaper at the public library, Everett noticed an advertisement from one of the country's largest technology companies. The company was seeking maintenance workers and janitors for its newly expanded headquarters. The salary wasn't glamorous, but it included health insurance and stable hours. To Everett, it looked like a miracle. He ironed his only decent shirt that night, polished his old shoes until they reflected a faint shine, and promised Nora that tomorrow might be the beginning of something better. The headquarters stood like a palace of glass under the bright daytime sky. Employees carrying laptops hurried through the elegant lobby, while luxury cars arrived one after another. Everett felt invisible among them, but he walked with quiet dignity. Every job deserved respect, and every honest worker deserved a chance. He filled out the application carefully, writing each letter with steady hands. Under previous employment, he listed construction, warehouse maintenance, and building repairs. Then he signed his full name. Several floors above, Billionaire CEO Celeste Ashford was reviewing hundreds of hiring documents during a routine meeting. Most applications passed by in seconds until one folder stopped her completely. Her eyes locked onto the signature, Everett Hale. Her breathing slowed. The conference room faded around her as memories she had spent years trying to forget suddenly returned. 15 years earlier, before she became one of the richest women in the country, she had been a frightened university student whose dreams had nearly ended in tragedy after a terrible car accident during a storm. Most drivers had ignored the wreck. One young construction apprentice had climbed through broken glass, pulled her from the burning vehicle, and stayed beside her until help arrived. When she later asked his name, he smiled gently and simply replied, Everett Hale. Before she could properly thank him, he disappeared back into his ordinary life. That single act of courage had changed everything. Surviving the accident gave Celeste another chance at life, another chance to build the company that would one day employ thousands of people. She had searched for Everett for years, but never found him. Now, unbelievably, he was applying to clean the floors of the very company she owned. Instead of immediately calling him upstairs, Celeste quietly instructed the hiring manager to continue the interview process exactly as normal. She wanted to see the man he had become, not because she doubted him, but because she wanted everyone else to witness his character. Everett answered every question with honesty. He admitted he had never worked in a corporate office, but explained that he respected every workplace as if it were his own home. He spoke about reliability, responsibility, and the importance of earning trust one day at a time. When asked why he wanted the position, he simply said he wanted to give his daughter stability. There was no self-pity, no dramatic speech, only quiet determination. After the interview, one employee accidentally spilled coffee across the polished lobby floor while rushing toward an elevator. Without hesitation, Everett borrowed a nearby mop and cleaned the mess even though he had not been hired. He noticed an elderly visitor struggling with heavy boxes and carried them across the building. He helped a nervous intern locate the correct office without expecting thanks. No cameras were needed to prove who he truly was. His kindness appeared naturally in every small action. Watching through the security monitors, Celeste smiled through tears. She finally walked downstairs. When Everett looked up and saw the elegant CEO approaching with several executives behind her, he assumed there must be some misunderstanding. Instead, Celeste stopped only a few feet away and quietly repeated the words she had never forgotten. She thanked him for saving her life. The lobby fell completely silent. Employees stared in disbelief as their billionaire CEO embraced a man who had come seeking a janitor's job. Everett looked confused before the distant memory slowly returned. He remembered the frightened young woman trapped inside the crushed vehicle all those years ago. He had never imagined she would become one of the country's most successful business leaders. News spread throughout the headquarters within minutes. Staff members gathered respectfully while Celeste shared the story of the stranger who had risked his own life without asking for money, recognition, or reward. She explained that every success she enjoyed today existed because someone with nothing had chosen compassion over convenience. Everett quietly admitted he had almost forgotten the incident. To him, helping someone in danger had never felt extraordinary. It was simply the right thing to do. Those words affected everyone present more deeply than any motivational speech ever could. Celeste refused to let Everett leave with only a janitor's position. She reviewed his experience, discovered his years of construction knowledge and maintenance expertise, and immediately created a better opportunity. Instead of working alone with a mop, he would supervise facility operations after receiving additional training. The salary was more than enough to support Nora, and the company would cover her education and health care as part of the employee family program. For the first time in years, Everett felt the crushing weight on his shoulders begin to lift. That evening, he picked Nora up from school carrying groceries instead of worry. They celebrated with homemade pancakes because they couldn't afford a restaurant, but to Nora it felt like the greatest feast in the world. She laughed louder than she had in months, and Everett realized hope sounded exactly like his daughter's laughter echoing through their tiny apartment. Weeks turned into months. Everett arrived at work before sunrise every morning, leading his team with humility rather than authority. He learned everyone's names, thanked every cleaner, respected every security guard, and reminded new employees that no job inside the building mattered more than another because every role kept the company alive. His attitude slowly transformed the workplace culture. People who once ignored maintenance staff began greeting them with smiles. Executives started eating lunch alongside employees from every department. Small acts of respect spread through the headquarters until kindness became part of the company's identity. Meanwhile, Nora blossomed. Her grades improved, her confidence returned, and she proudly told classmates that her father was the strongest man she knew, not because he was rich, but because he never gave up. One bright afternoon, nearly a year later, the company held its annual employee appreciation event in the courtyard under clear blue skies. Families gathered together while children played across the green lawns. During the ceremony, Celeste invited Everett onto the stage. She told thousands of employees that leadership was not measured by wealth, titles, or expensive offices. True leadership began with character. She explained that the greatest investment her company had ever made was believing in a man who had never stopped believing in goodness, even when life offered him almost nothing in return. The audience stood together in a long, heartfelt ovation. Everett looked toward Nora standing beside the stage, her eyes shining with pride. Every sleepless night, every unpaid bill, every sacrifice had led to this moment. Not because he had become successful, but because his daughter could finally see that goodness eventually finds its way home. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a comment about a person whose kindness changed your life. and subscribe to Kindness Legacy so together we can continue spreading hope through stories that remind us humanity still exists. Special request: before this story ends, please comment with the words, "Kindness always comes back." Your message may inspire someone who desperately needs hope today. As the golden afternoon sunlight filled the company courtyard, Everett realized that life rarely rewards kindness immediately. Sometimes years pass before one small act returns in ways no one could ever imagine. He had saved a frightened stranger without expecting anything in return, and destiny quietly remembered. More importantly, his daughter learned that true wealth is not measured by money, luxury, or power, but by the lives we choose to lift when no one is watching. The world may overlook ordinary people, but kindness never forgets their names. And somewhere, on an ordinary day beneath a bright blue sky, one simple act of compassion can rewrite an entire future, not only for the person being helped, but for generations still to come.